Hello, everybody. It's good to see you here today at 6 p.m. I'm today with Clara. Let me first introduce Newgig. Newgig is a platform that we formed to help people to find out what they want to do in the next part of their career. We have a four-step process. Basically, step zero means you understand yourself to accept the challenge. And then step one is understanding yourself. So we in the past we have a few events talking about how to meet challenges in the pandemics. We talk about how to handle stress, and then after that we hope people will feel energized and motivated to take on challenges right now. And then we think about if you will understand yourself much better, then you could actually also understand the world. When you understand both, it probably can help you figure out what you want to do next. So today we are very happy and are very glad to be in this beautiful building with Clara, Shek, the Hong Kong MD for Ogilvy, PR and Influence. Today we're going to be in this stage two. We're going to learn more about this field of PR, event and influence. It's a very interesting field and we'll be recording this session, so if you in the middle of it you will miss a part of it, we'll post it back in a few days and you can still listen to it. So first, Clara, thank you for hosting us in your beautiful office.
Thank you, Stephen. Actually, I'm very glad to be here and glad to be invited to join your very meaningful initiative.
Thank you. I read your bio. It's quite long because there's so many awards inside. Before we start, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell people about your career and how do you get into this field? Just tell us a little bit more about yourself. So.
Hello everyone, I'm Clara. I've been with Ogilvy for 21 years. Actually, public relations and influence have been my lifetime career. I entered the field, I started in advertising for just a couple of weeks and then I switched to public relations consulting, and ever since there was no turning back. I love it and enjoyed it until now.
Excellent. Later on, we will explore more about what exactly is this field about. Next week, another colleague of Clara, Kat, the Hong Kong CEO of Ogilvy on brand side and advertising side will also talk to us. So next week we'll have another session on that. But first, not all the audience understand, this great organization, WPP, Ogilvy. Maybe it's necessary for you to introduce us, your great company, what do they do and how big it is. Not everyone actually knows about it.
Okay, so Ogilvy is one of the leading marketing communications consultancy in the world, and we have hundreds of offices throughout different regions of the world, and we specialized in helping clients grow through advertising, brand and content, through experience, through growth and innovation, through public relations and influence, and finally through the health business as well. So we believe that we have a structure that would really help our clients to transform as well as to grow their organization as well as the brand.
I realize it's a huge organization. When I step into this building in North Point, I look at the 水牌, like the directory. Voila! The whole building is full of your companies, either subsidiaries or associate companies. So approximately, do we know how many people in Hong Kong, how many people worldwide? Just roughly.
There are about 16 to 1800 people on this campus.
Wow! So this is a big organization.
Part of the WPP group, which is one of the largest marketing and communications conglomerate in the world.
Yeah. So as Clara talked about, one of the biggest conglomerates in all this marketing, communication, branding, and PR group, WPP. And okay, let's talk about. Maybe we should see. Can you share with us? I know you prepare a movie for us or a clip, right?
Yeah, so I thought the best way to start and for everybody to just get an idea about what Ogilvy public relations and influence is to share a quick video, which is about 3 minutes, which kind of summarize what we do across the region and give you just a taste of the range of things that we are covering.
Good. So why don't we go to see the clip?
Hello, good morning, how you doing? Waking up, shaking yesterday's blues, yeah. Turn the TV off, this bad news, man. Feeling fresh. like the top off a bottle and I ain't stopping yet. Baby, it's a brand new day. Ain't no clouds hanging over me. Something doesn't feel the same. The rest of my life gonna start today. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gonna start today. Crawling up the ocean, this is evolution. Can I grow into another animal, the next level? I'm sprouting wings and I just wanna sing. In the future now, the past can't harm me. Forget about yesterday, Paul McCartney. I'm feeling like a Beatle on stage, and the whole wide world's gonna know my name. Baby, it's a brand new day. Ain't no clouds hanging over me. Something doesn't feel the same. The rest of my life gonna start today. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gonna start today. Ladies and gentlemen, this part right here is very simple. It goes like this. I've been up, I've been down, but I got the feeling right now. I've been up, I've been down, but I got the feeling right now. I've been up, I've been down, do you got the feeling right now? Baby, it's a brand new day. Ain't no clouds hanging over me. Something doesn't feel the same. The rest of my life gonna start today. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gonna start today. The rest of my life gonna start today.
That was a video a couple of years ago, but still stand.
Well,
And
excellent.
relevant.
I consider why you guys don't want to leave your industry, because we go into a company and we do the same thing for 20 years, and you do so many different things within your career with so many brands, so many clients. It's so exciting.
Absolutely.
Well, Clara, maybe let's just go back to basic first, right? So, tell us exactly, what does public relations mean? I know we call public relations an influence, but let's go to the public relations first, because good old days, it's all very much all newspaper, like press release, event. But tell us what exactly is PR, and till coming to this days, how has it changed? And then the second question I will come, of course, is why so specifically, right? We add this influence word in it. There must be some reason. So
Okay,
please.
okay, great question.
Yeah.
So public relations is a rising profession, and a profession that kind of existed for the last decade, but really come to prominence in the past 20, 30 years. That's why I call it a rising profession. And it's all about helping organizations, brands, even countries to build and protect their reputation.
Okay.
So, and we do this through earned influence. That's where influence comes in. So it's not about a one-way dialogue with people. It's about establishing a two-way kind of relationship and engagement in such a way that you earn the permission to influence their behavior and motivate them, share information with them. And this is particularly relevant in this day and age where social media is an integral part of our everyday life. And so, to your earlier point, in the past, companies might be issuing press release, and when they make an announcement, they issue the press release, and then the news got reported in the newspaper and TV, and from there, they influence the behavior of the consumers and the general public. But today, it's not only through the traditional media. There is a whole ecosystem of social media, which is actually rapidly replacing the traditional media as a channel that impact consumer behavior most. And if you look at the amount of time that each of us spend on social media every day and how we consume news, that reflect the changing behavior. And thus, from a kind of a unidirectional one-way approach, public relations and influence is about a two-way engagement. And again, going back to the point about earning the permission from our target audience, invite them to be part of our group, whether it be in a social network or in a community interest group or any form of user group. And through voluntarily joining the group, you have the permission to establish a dialogue with them and provide information to educate, entertain, or inform them about certain things. So say for example, in our technology practice, we often might be sharing information about the latest development in technology, such as 5G and how it impacts life. And in the healthcare space, we might be sharing information with a patient group on a particular disease and the treatment method and the efficacy of different drugs. So these are the kind of things that we do day to day.
Very interesting. The old school way to think about it is just really newspaper, TV. And then now we talk about, I heard it a few times, two-way. So it seems to me that this is really a very important part on, and I've learned something new, which, your client, when they engage in their social strategy, it does fall within your area, does it?
Correct.
Okay, and that's a big part, because right now, in any storytelling, any influencing, social media is a big part. So I think for the audience, it's interesting. You are trying to figure out, who does a brand's, social media thing. Of course, they have a marketing team, but within that, if on the agency side, this is really your area, right?
Yes, actually we have social media. We believe that social media and content is something that is relevant for advertising, relevant for experience, and relevant for public relations as well. And to us, social media, it's a channel.
Yes.
And so it's important for us to understand the behavior and the information consumption habit of our target audience, be it consumers or a particular profession. And then by understanding their behavior, we then utilize or leverage different channels to reach out to them.
Earlier, you talked about this theme of you help clients to build and protect their reputation, right? So maybe elaborate a little bit. There's two sides. One is building, the other one is protecting. What does it really mean by protect? Why do we need to protect something?
Okay, so starting with the building part. So when a company or a brand is entering a market, there is a need to build awareness, kind of lay the ground, lay the foundation before you have a massive communications campaign or advertising campaign to try to connect with them. So public relations is a very cost-effective way to educate the market about the arrival of a particular brand. And for us in our travel practice, for example, we would promote new destinations that might be of interest to the consumer. And we also help clients launch new services and products, be it mobile phones or virtual banking services. These are the kind of things that we do day to day. So that's on the building reputation side.
So that's more related to something new, something that they don't know, and we go in to help them build from nothing to something, or from something into greatness. So that's really building. Then the protect side.
So the protection side, it's about issue and crisis management. So inevitably, with any brand, they might be vulnerable to certain risks. So what if there is a fire? What if there is a bomb threat? What if there are people are trapped in a typhoon situation? So how do we help the organization communicate with the affected people and the target public?
My
That's an
example,
important part of
my
it.
example is I used to be in the airline, right? So we practice a lot on what
you
if.
have a lot of crisis drills.
Yeah, crisis drill. What if an airplane has problem? Like it came down. In the first hour, first 2 hours, first 5 hours, what do you do? And when you know more information, what do you do with it? And also recently, I've seen a lot of just product-related things, right? Like, some like
Product contamination.
exactly contamination. Like good old days, like milk powder. There's problem happen. So, whose problem is it, right? Is it contaminated, or is it really the product has a problem? All these things. So this is another part about crisis handling, and how do you, in the midst of having some so-called problem outside looking, and how do you respond and how to get your messages out, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also preparing. That is on the handling side, but
Yep.
we do a lot in crisis preparedness,
Got it.
helping our client audit what sorts of crisis they are vulnerable to, and then prepare them in the eventuality of that happen. And you came from the airline industry, and you know very well that the evacuation and crisis drill is a standard part
Yeah.
of the operation every year.
Yeah, I think I remember those days. A lot of templates has been prepared, and because if you happen on that, you don't have enough time to do it. You get everything prepared, and then you adjust, and if really you need it at that time. Okay, that's great. So we talk about this additional word. I think adding PR. This is now called PR and influence, right? This influence part, is when does it happen that it's become so important that it become part of the title or part of the organization's name?
Right.
And why do you see the changes?
Yeah, so we officially changed to public relations and influence about 5 years ago.
Okay.
That is in recognition of the changing mode of how public relations and social media shape perception and opinion and attitude as well as behavior of the consumer and any target audience that we are in communication with.
That's important, I think, for the audience to recognize, an organization that big, to change the name and put something additional to it, they thought through it, and it has to mean something, and it's going to be a long-term trend before they decided to go do that. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about this. Some people are quite confused. I go to a brand, and I heard they have a marketing and PR team, and then you are now telling me that you are a communication agency, your storytelling agency, your PR agency. So I'm so confused. How do organization perform this function? Like, who does what? Like in-house agency. Why do we need an agency? Or why not all hire in-house? But some people I heard they don't even have a team. They all outsource. So can you explain to us this peculiar relationship?
Okay, so Stephen, you have been the CEO of numerous organizations in the past, and you know very well that you have a very capable in-house team.
Yep.
But at the same time, there are times, and indeed in many situations where you might have occasional or ongoing consultancy arrangement.
Yep.
And the reason for this is that many organizations are set up in a very different way. From my observation, many local corporations, they have an in-house PR team and social team increasingly. But for many multinational corporations, they tend to have a linear structure, and they might tend to outsource PR, and as far as social media on the influence side. And the reason why they outsource is for a number of reasons. It's more cost effective. You access specialists within a budget, but these specialists are multi-talented. They might have crisis skills, they might have a particular industry expertise, they might have social media capabilities, they might be strategists, they might be creative people, or are accessible through your consultancy partner. Instead of hiring 5 different people or 10 different people, you work through your consultancy partner as an extension to your team, and you have access to all of these specialist capabilities.
So like a brand use an agency because frankly at the end of the day they might only use one expert for like 1 month or might be using it for 5 days, and you cannot hire a very qualified person if you only have 5 days of work for them, and nobody want to work for you anyway. So then
I guess they would love to work there if they only need to work 5 days
in
a year, but
only get paid also 5 days. That's the problem.
Yes, as you said.
So that's why I now understand. So might be an organization like you guys, you have some sort of expertise in that area, and they will be deployed as accordingly on demand, on agreement, on different issues. So that because I think organization also go through cycles on what they need, right?
Yeah. And also bringing an external perspective, an independent point of view that is not affected by whether my boss like to hear that or not. That is extremely important. There is no kind of vested interest or conflict of interest. Whereas if it is your staff, they might not dare to tell you that Stephen, as the CEO, you are wrong, you are going down a wrong path. But as an external consultancy, we owe it to our client. We are paid to tell them things that they may not like to hear.
Got it. Tell them the truth.
Yes.
So I think maybe the audience now know a little bit more, but maybe some of them are still confused. We know this relationship between them, but then now the question comes into Clara, like maybe breaking down for us, what are the functions and the roles that is available in PR and influence agency? Because I mean, the audience, some of them might want to think, I might be interested in this field, but what are how do you, set up different sections, and what are the roles?
Okay, so perhaps I'll start with the public relations side. So on the public relations side, we have client consultants. So basically, it's advising the client and being the trusted advisors to the client. They advise clients on their strategy, and they designed and develop program ideas for our clients, and then execute them. Okay, so there is both the consulting and the execution part of it. And then we have strategists and planners who really think about and have a lot of insight about consumer and target audience behavior, and bring that planning and disciplined approach to the way we strategize for our client. And then we have creative ideation team who might come up with creative ideas to help ensure that what we are communicating with the public would resonate with them. And we have editorial and content and translator, content people and translators. We also have media relations specialists. We have event specialists, because a big part of our work is to enable our target audience to experience different aspect of the brand, and they do it through events. Right? So that's and we also have crisis specialists. We have public affairs specialists who specialize in lobbying and public kind of consultation work. And we also have investor relations specialists that deals with the financial analysts all the time. So that's on the PR side. And on the social side, social, it's pretty much around content. So we also need to have like a creative creative team to come up with the concept, whether it be a video on how they tell the story, or a social media post that could connect, or infographics. So that's on the creative side. That might also involve graphic designers, video production director, and video production people. And we also have social media strategists who will be monitoring what is being said in the social media all the time, and come up with ways to engage the audience through social media. We also have community management specialists who, again, watching what is being said and responding to the audience in the social media, the user of the social media, members of the platform. So those are, in general, the types of jobs that are available.
There's quite a large variety. It's more than I thought. So, and if you look at this, what are among those, right? What are the hot roles and skills that are in high demand, and it's also going to be in high demand in the future? It's like if some of our audience say, I want to get in here, but can you tell me which area that if I invest myself and can get a job and can get skillful, it will be probably more on the upside, coming in the next 5 years.
As I said, public relations and influence is a rising profession.
Explain to us why is it rising.
As a matter of fact, I had two mentees who had conducted some research for me. I had started teaching at the Chinese University on a master's program in corporate communications 3 weeks ago, and the mentee Bernice and Christy helped me conducted some research on the field, on the job demands out there. So in the first 12 days of January, there were about 750 positions open.
Okay.
Across public relations and influence, of which about 400 are in the entry level position.
Okay.
About 250 are middle level positions.
Okay.
So just just 12 days, you can see a huge demand.
And this is talking about.
It's quite balanced between social media and PR.
And this is talking about this January, right now, at this
Correct.
pandemic, with this
Exactly.
economic environment.
Exactly.
Still 700 jobs out there just
Yeah.
in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Wow. Great. Well, that's quite interesting. So the sector,
It's very encouraging,
the
right?
sector is very encouraging. So let's go back to, just give us some tips. Come on, like within the sector, if they have to invest in themselves, which sector, which area that you talk about, so many of them, probably are going to be holding for a long time. The demand is going to be very high.
Okay, so there are positions that are timeless, which are like media relations specialist, event management specialist, crisis specialist, and investor relations specialist. Those are timeless skills that would always be in demand. And then there are a lot of demand lately, obviously, in the social side, because many organizations are trying to build a better infrastructure to be able to handle the social media more effectively, and thus they need community management specialists. They need social media strategists to be able to come up with content and craft those content in such a way that would allow them to tell the story and connect with the target audience. So the social media definitely is a hot area.
I might be getting myself in trouble, but the question I want to ask then is on the social media side, is there any age relevancy? Because some people say that, like people like me, like they look at me, I'm in the generation of Facebook, and like, you're so old, old people use Facebook, you need to do IG story, you need to talk about it. And now, recently, I've been all over the place talking about this new thing called Clubhouse, right? So does it mean that, the social media sort of jobs is more favorable for the younger, more energetic, more open-minded people, What about people like me that are slightly older?
Well, you have totally transformed into this new field. I would say, okay, so there are what we call digital immigrants, like you and me.
Yes.
We are digital immigrants, and then there are the digital native. So those are born in the 90s, and after they are pretty much beginning their life or their childhood with the influence of social media. A lot of the people that we have working in the social media field are below 35 years old.
Got it.
Naturally.
Yeah.
And they are so used to what's going on, and they also need to catch up a lot with what's going on in the social world. They are in tune with it, so naturally they could do a very good job. But what social media specialists also need to do, the digital native, is to have a deeper understanding of brand.
Got it.
Yeah.
So if you have a deep understanding of an industry, and you can transform yourself to sort of, if you're slightly older, but you can transform yourself to be a digital immigrant, then you can still have a chance.
Transform to digital native.
Digital native. From I'm immigrant to native. So I'm immigrated now, it's become native. Oh, got it. So okay. Some of our audience might ask, wow, this is so exciting, but you've been in this for so long, and I'm an outsider. I might have heard it a bit too late. I'm now 5 years in my role, or 8 years in, or 10 years in. So for someone that probably doesn't have a very specific skill set in trained as a crisis management person or whatever, have you seen someone from outside that has some sort of a generic skill that can come in and join the organization? What are some of the examples that you can think of?
Actually, there are a lot of skills that are transferable. So, for example, project management skills, language skills, as well as analytical skills. Those are transferable skills. And you could apply it in public relations and social media situation, where, for example, there is a need to do research, and consume and look at a lot of news, as well as social media posts, to make sense out of it and find patterns. And based on the patterns that you find, then you interpret the data and figure out what is the trend and how a company or a brand should respond to this particular trend. So those analytical skills exist in a lot of people in their university training and in their career, in their job, existing job or past job, and that could be transferable.
So that's an example. If you can read a lot of things, a lot of messages, a lot of different content, and somehow you have a skill set to make sense of it quickly, that is a skill that's useful, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have storytelling skill, you might not be purely digital, but if you write exceptionally well, if you take a picture exceptionally well.
Your language skills, if you write very well,
Yeah.
It's great because that is something that is applicable when you are telling a story to through the social media or through traditional media as well. How you craft the story angle and come up with things that will be attention grabbing or something that could easily resonate with your target audience. That is a skill set that many creative writers have.
So for the audience, if you have not been in this field, you still have a chance. Think about whether you can write, whether you can tell a story, whether you can make sense of a whole bunch of stuff, and that's fine. And I also think there's another field within your industry that is dealing with client facing that is useful. And I know you have a colleague today that can join us for a conversation, right?
Yes.
So why don't we invite him
yeah.
to come in?
So let me introduce Colin, our brilliant account director.
Colin, come on.
Who have been a real expert in event management, in KOL relations,
Good.
and in media relations. And he has been working with a variety of brands in the travel sector and in the innovation sector, which is very relevant to the economy of Hong Kong.
Excellent. Okay, good, great. Colin, welcome.
Right, thank you.
So Clara, so successful already. We're talking about here. Like me, always my colleagues sometimes tell me, can you stop talking about 30,000 feet? The only languages you understand. Let's talk about your field, account relationship. Account director.
Yep.
So what exactly you do? Tell us your role. And tell us a little bit about your story in this sector also. How do you get into this field and your little bit background? So.
Sure. So as an account director, my duty is being the day-to-day contact with my clients. So I have to provide them the consultation service, as well as having some strategic planning for them to advise them what they should do or what they can't do as well. And I have a team to work with me, so we can do everything for them, like doing media relations, hosting events, doing anything to make the brands being aware and make sure our clients' messages is well delivered to the public. So that is our duty and what we do day to day.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself. How did you get into this field, and how long has it been?
So it's been almost 13 years.
Okay.
So this is my first job since I graduated from the university. During my university time, I've been struggling. So I know I would like to do something related to communications. So I was studying in Bachelor of Arts major in linguistics and communications. So I've been thinking of maybe I should do a reporter, being in the media industry, or I want something creative as well. So I've also been trying to do some advertising jobs. I'm looking for PR jobs as well. But in the end, I do some research and I chose PR because I think it seems it's the most interesting one because I can meet with different kinds of people in all walks of life, and it's less boring. It's not always staying in the office, so I think it is something I would look for, and that's why I interview Ogilvy, and that's how Clara employed me.
Okay, tell me some example, like a day in life for you, or might be for someone that just joined your team, quite junior, account officer, not even director.
Yep.
Might be someone that to have 2-3 years experience join you. What is a day in life for them, and what's a day in life for you? Or might be 2 days or not 1 day.
Yeah, actually, because it's we don't have a really routine or pattern types of work, because it really depends on what we are working on recently, like what projects or what campaigns we have. It can be very diverse. So sometimes we can be out of office whole day, having a lot of clients meetings as well as some events as well. Like last year, before the fourth wave started, fortunately we have a 10 days of events. We had an exhibition with our watch clients, so I was physically stationed at the exhibition to entertain our media friends, to liaise a lot of happenings, a lot of events with my clients there. And then my colleagues, they also have different roles for that exhibitions. Like some of them have to do some news monitoring and do some KOL liaisons to make sure our project, our campaign is well aware by the watch industry. And so a lot of fashionistas, a lot of stylish people are also engage with them to make sure they want to come to our events as well. So our colleagues have been keep calling them or keep sending messages to them. Oh, are you interested to come to our party? And we have something cool to show you, etc.
So you have a Rolodex of all the good-looking and handsome KOLs in the region, huh?
This is one side benefits of the
We need to talk afterwards. Okay. So okay, let's touch base a little bit on this side, Clara. You talk about being a KOL sort of lead, within your agency. This whole KOL thing is a phenomenon in this few years, right? And
it's a new industry.
It's a new industry. So can you explain a little bit to us? I think there's two sides that I want you to answer to my audiences. One side might be some of them are thinking about, could I become a KOL, and is it that easy? I think that's one question. The other side is within your industry, how do you interact and use KOL?
Yeah, again, because of the rise of social media, it created this completely new phenomenon where traditionally the influencers are people who are professionals, who are experts in the field, or they might be the editor and writer of New York Times and some of the most prominent publications. But with social media, an Instagrammer could be, a YouTuber could be, if they have the following, could be the most important influencer that you need to engage. So for example, if we are working with a infant formula type of clients, we might need to engage with mommy bloggers and Instagrammers who have a lot of following among the mom community, new mom community, and that's how we could ride on their connections to influence the attitude and the behavior of the members or their followers, basically. Yeah. So the way we do it is try to make it like a mutual interest. We need to understand what interests the KOL first, and whether this is an area that they are in support of. And through communication, connections, and exchanges, educate them about our client brands or our initiative, and allow them to communicate in their own way, in a very authentic way, to those people who are their followers. So that's essentially the way that we engage KOL. We identify people who are influential, and then we provide them with information, with relevant content to facilitate their communication. But it's all done in such a way that is voluntary. It's not something that we impose on a third party to do. Yeah.
So, Gorin, for your group of people that is working with you mostly on the client management side and the KOL side, what type of skill do you need? I'm thinking about maybe if someone haven't been in this industry for long, but if they have good interpersonal skill, do they stand a chance that you might give them a chance to enter? Is your area the best area to just get in rather than some other that is very specialized? Tell us a bit more. So
I would conclude with two things. So first of all, you have to be curious. So some of the candidates who came to interview, they told us, I read a lot of articles, I read a lot of social medias, I keep tracks of all the KOLs matters. Not because she wants this job, but she's interested in knowing a lot of things. And that is totally what we're looking for. We want someone who has the network or has the knowledge on what's the trends, what's going on, so we can have this first-hand information to inform our clients as well as to recommend our clients who we should approach and how we should approach to them. And secondly, we need to have someone who is well articulated, who is good in communications, because there are lots of communications involved when we talk to our clients or talk to the counterparts or talk to the KOLs, because we need to let them know clearly what the messages we want to deliver. We don't want there's any confusions or any messages that came out in the end that is confused to the public or bring some negative images to the brand as well.
I would say a lot of the skills in our field could be learned, and the best way to learn is on the job.
Got it.
And so there is, if you have organizational skills, if you have analytical skills, if you're curious, and you are keen to enter a new field, it is not impossible for them to enter. And in fact, we have many cases where we have people who used to be an accountant, who used to be a civil engineer, and who studied biomedicine or biotech, transferred into our field. And work in, biotech side might work in the healthcare side. Civil engineer side, we work with like construction related industries that is relevant to them. Accountants could work in our corporate financial practice. So their past background could be very useful for.
I mean, that's an interesting point for the audience is, you might think you study science, you might think you study engineering, is not relevant. But what they're talking about is, well, you might have some domain expertise that if I send someone that study art into a biotech company to help them do PR, they don't even understand what the product is.
Exactly.
And how do you make sense of something very complicated nobody understands and make it layman to normal people understand? You might need to have some technical background. So I think for the audience, it's not that in the stone that if you are not ASI, then you can't really join, but you have to show the commitment. It's not always easy to change your field, but it could be possible. But remember, curious mind, right? Like, we talked about it earlier. Give them some tips, some people come and interview with you, you say, come on, like 5 minutes, you want to kick them out. Some people, you want to continue to have a conversation. Give them some tips, at least to survive the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think the key thing is you have to show you're very determined. Because sometimes when people come to us, they are being very frank, told us that, I'm just trying, give it a try. I'm not sure actually what I want to do, so I just come to give myself a chance. And I would be really hesitate to have that person in my team. So we would look for someone who is well prepared, who know what this job is about. So that's why you guys are now listening to this audio, this show.
And do research on the company.
Yeah, so
and
know
do
what this
research
is
on
about.
the field.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Allow me to explain what we're trying to do at Newgig, right? Some people say, well, it seems like all random. You have these people talking, but it's not exactly. We have this so-called system and theory. We think, really, I think you can hear, no matter what job shows up on the job board, you go apply, and when they ask you why do you want to join, you say, I just need a job. You will never get a job. Because right now, I think the world is getting so complicated to a point that if you do not love what you do, you stand no chance to be good at it. So you have to really tolerate the goods and the bads of that field, and you need to think very clearly. That's an area you want to. So what we try to do right now is to tell you, if you have not been in this field ever, after listening to this, if you really think, wow, that's quite interesting, you need to really research, you need to think, and at the end of the day, you need to understand yourself so that you can answer the question when you see them and say, why PR and why not advertising? Why advertising? Why not become a policeman? Why not become a fireman? Why not just go back to school? You have to explain why. You cannot answer, say, economy is bad, so I just need a job. For sure, you don't get anything, right? So okay, tell us a little bit about the highs and lows. Come on. Every industry, every job must have its rewarding moments and its really bad moments. So I think tell us a bit about what are the rewarding things and what are really tough days, and come on,
So for the good points, I think first thing why a lot of people think of PR is this is a very fancy industry, meets a lot of beautiful people, handsome people, and have a lot of fancy parties. I can tell you that it is just part of the truth. Part of the truth, which is some parts are really true. So I think
You are at the party, that's true. But whether you are enjoying the party, no, you're working
because I never imagined I can meet someone really influential globally, like Bill Clinton or
Yeah.
even David
David
Beckham, such
Beckham.
kind of.
okay.
We've been working with this kind of people, and the chemistry is really fantastic. Like a lot of very professional people around them, and you are joining a big team to make something really stunning that the media loves about, and everyone is talking about it, makes it talks all the time. Those are the highlights of the PR of our jobs actually. And for the lows, I think a lot of people also have some rumors saying, "Oh, this job you never get, you never get off. You always stay in the office." Partly true as well. So sometimes when you have a lot of deadlines rushing in, you may have to stay for very long. But then actually, it doesn't happen all year or every month or every day. So it's particularly sometimes maybe it's a peak season that you have to spend very long hours in work. But a lot of times we are having some chill moments as well, and we do enjoy our work. So I think it's okay if you really want to try it, no matter how hard it is, and you will find a comfortable zone for you to get in, and then things will be smooth.
Good. I have a question from the audience here saying, what are some of the most challenging moments in your PR job? Is it client handling or is what? Maybe each of you can answer. Maybe Clara, what are your most challenging moments in the PR job?
That is a very good question. One of my most memorable moment in my career was me, along with at that time my Asia Pacific boss. That's in my previous life, who is also a woman. Were invited to India for a presentation to the partners of a management consulting firm.
Okay.
And so we enter in there, and there is a room of 25 partners, all male, and so we presented very well, and they all bought into our assessment of where they are at as a brand and what they should do to further build their reputation. And by the way, it's one of the biggest global management consulting firms. And then we were instantly given a task.
Okay.
So they give us a task and ask us to come back and share our recommendations in 30 minutes. So it was like a test. And luckily we survived and we excelled in that, and we won the remit to help them across Asia Pacific.
Tell us a little bit about that, Clara. Because before we started, Clara told me she was very busy, so I'm so happy that she spent some time with us today. She told me yesterday, she had 5 pitches to do. It means like
new business.
Five pitch of new clients. So, tell us a little bit about this. This, some people say it's exciting. Some people say they hate it. This sort of, if I work in house, I do one brand, but if I do this, I always need to sell. Selling is an inevitable part of being in an agency. So tell us a little bit about that selling part.
So I guess our field is, I always say that our field is one of the fields where, or one of the few professions where you could use both your right brain and your left brain. So you could equally value your analytical mind and your creative mind and put it to work. And the way we put it to work, it's really participating in competitive pitches for client business. And I guess in my experience, the ability to come up with really compelling recommendations to the client and winning the business is something that gives our team a lot of satisfaction and myself a lot of satisfaction. So you need to be inherently competitive, and you also enjoy the thrill of the winning, then this is the right field for you. And so the way it works is that usually organizations, they might have certain public relations or social media needs or brand building need. They would issue a brief or a request for proposal to the consultancies, and then each of the consultancy would then interpret the brief and come back with the recommendations. So it's like your university days where you need to present your recommendations to, or on a case to your professor, and it's a similar thing, but we present to real life client, and based on the strategic sense, based on the insight that we have, and the strategy that we recommend, and the creative idea that we come up with, and the program that we develop to help them execute, they would make a decision on whether they award the business to us or not. And sometimes it's a 3-year kind of business, a 3-year retainer where we secure the relationship for 3 years and help them gradually build and strengthen their reputation.
So
and we measure it.
tell us a little bit about this, because I think I just want to explain. I know this a little bit. So there is one set of things called retainer that they hire you for a specific time, 3 to 5 years, and then you have a dedicated team for them, right? And then like a dedicated client management team, but then you pool different specialists
right.
actually come in. But there are also this one-off, two-off thing, right? I have a
Right.
big project and I just wanted to get it done in 6 months, right? So there's a variety of things.
So the retainer, it's a ongoing remit to help build and achieve certain communications objectives of the client, reputation objectives. And then the project are very short term, typically 3 to 6 months, and sometimes even a one-off new product launch. And they are typically around product launches, a particular event. Say for example, one of the things that our colleagues have done recently was to work with a private bank to connect with their private client through virtual events, where they try to make NGOs with certain projects vis-a-vis the interest of the private high net worth clients who might be interested in impact investment.
Oh, I was on an impact investment
Right.
call this morning. So,
Yeah. So those are the things that we create, like those strong virtual event to enable them to connect those parties.
I think one of the interesting part I want to tell the audience is on the PR and influence side, there is sometimes very interesting activity they do, seemingly like not even related to selling the product. You know, it's more about building relationship, and I think Clara talked about this. You have to earn your influence, you earn your two-way communications.
Earn the permission
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So it's slightly different. Some other industry, you go there sell. I have a product I have to sell. They sort of this long tail, like I have to really build and maintain that. There's a question coming in for Chloe, like for someone that is in mid-career wanting to change into PR, is it easier to start in agency or in-house? What are the differences in skill required?
I haven't tried in-house, so I'm not sure.
So-
But then for agency, I think we would value what kind of expertise he can bring in or she can bring into our company. Say if there's specific talents, say communication skills, or what kind of knowledge that he owns. Such as if he's a lawyer, he has some interesting knowledge or backgrounds that may be fulfilling our client needs as well, then it would be a very good access to us as well.
And I would say, if you are in mid-career, go into an agency, go into a consultancy. The reason being, you are able to expose yourself to a variety of industry sectors and client brand, and through which you develop, you speed up your learning curve. A lot of people tell me, colleagues told me that 1 year in Ogilvy is like 5 years elsewhere. So that's the level of intensity. So Colvin has actually been, I'm actually been 105 years.
Yes, he's done 13 years, right?
So 65 years of cumulative experience. But I think that's also the fun part of it. As you said earlier on, you got exposure and you work on such wide variety of things that would always keep you busy but interesting.
But let's come back to this reality. That means you need to be certain type of character to be able to survive in an agency. Like if you cannot take change, if you cannot suddenly, you're working on something and suddenly you're told drop it and we're going to work on this something else, a pitch like for 3 days and then we'll come back and do something else. If you're not really open-minded to uncertainty is very difficult, right? So tell us
Correct.
more.
Correct.
Like some of the basic characters, not even about skill, because there's skill and there are like characters,
Yeah.
like traits. What type of characters need to be able to survive? in
Okay, so
agency?
I call it ABCDE.
Okay, tell us.
So agility, you need to be very agile
Yep.
and willing to change and adapt to situation.
Yep.
You need to be very bold. So you need to tell client what it's the right thing to do, as opposed to being a yes man to the client.
Yep.
So that's being bold. You need to be very curious, as Cohen
Yep.
already said. You also need to be very determined,
Mm.
because in our field, there are a lot of hard work, a lot of blood and sweat, and tears,
Mm.
and so you need to be determined enough
Mm.
to be persistent and survive those. Yeah, and you also need to be quite an expressive person.
Mm.
Being able to articulate your thoughts and communicate it.
But does it mean that if I'm an introvert, I have no role, or can I do more the creative in-house role, not go with Cohen's team? Can I just do the writing, do the creative? Is it a myth that only extrovert can survive in agency?
It is definitely a myth. Actually, we do a lot of personality.
MBTI,
MBTI personality trait kind of analysis of our staff regionally and globally. And in fact, many of our senior leadership around the world are introverted or marginally introverted. And I'm sitting in the middle between extroverted and introverted. So it doesn't matter if you are introverted, but if you are able to articulate your thoughts and connect with people with your thoughts, that's perfectly fine.
I think for the audience, the introvert, extrovert is a label. They talk about, are you bold enough? Are you able to expressive enough? You can only talk about 1 minute, but if you're expressive enough and you're clear enough, then maybe it's better than someone like me talking about for 10 minutes. So.
We encourage people to speak their mind
Yeah.
and be a straight talker, as opposed to going around the circle and not really getting the point across.
Great. So I have a few more questions here because we have two of you. So if you don't mind, we extend a few minutes more today. 5 to 10 minutes. So that the audience can get more. There's a question coming in. Is what is your PR advice for individual business owner or people that want to start their own business? So I think it's kind of broad, but maybe give it a try. If I want to start something, let's assume something. Like something small, something like a IG shop, or I have some good supply, or maybe I myself want to become a small business owner for now. What's your advice to them?
Okay, maybe I'll start and Colin,
Yep.
please
Yeah.
supplement. Colin actually worked with many companies in the innovation and startup
Excellent.
area as well. I would say you really need to start with thinking about the value proposition of the new organization. So what is it that you are selling that is different from all others? So identify your point of difference, your uniqueness, and then really think about your target audience. Which target segment are you going after? Because you may not be able to be, the thing for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to narrow down and segment your target and be laser focused on them. And once you have done these two steps, then develop your go-to-market kind of strategy that would include what sort of content and what sort of channel would best reach your target audience. And these are things that like business startup 101 that need to be in place. And of course your PR advisor will be able to advise you what sort of content and channel would be most effective. But and also working with you in coming up with a compelling point of difference for your organization. And that's what we do with new brands, helping them craft their brand story and helping them tell the brand story in an authentic way. And we often do that through having a deep dialogue with the founder of the organization to understand the journey that that person has been through.
If I'm starting a new business, just a small one, I think there's the debate sometimes is, do I focus more just on the product going, or because I have nothing, so I need to also promote myself as a brand, how do someone decide, I all effort in just the product, or I use myself as the owner and also use my own influence to do it. That's because time is limited, right? How should they think about it?
I think you need to strike a balance because both would be very important. So first of all, people need to know the product itself very well, otherwise they won't buy your products. And then you have to focus on how to tell your story. That is how you portray yourself as the business owner. Why are you starting this business? Why you think this business? Why you think this product is doing good for the public? So this is the part of doing PR for yourself as well. So I think both need to go well, and that's why we also encourage our clients to do more competitors analysis as well. You need to know the market, you need to know your competitors. Not only you need to find out what's your advantage compared to them, but learn from your competitor as well. And sometimes if there's a cluster of similar business together, there may be a bigger force or draw more awareness for the whole industry as well.
That's a great point. So I want to touch on another subject right now. We talk about this personal branding, because some of the audience may say, after hearing from you, I cannot join agency because I'm not A, B, C, D, E enough, okay? But I think for every single one listening, they might have a question about, is it necessary right now, no matter what you do, no matter what level, how senior, junior, to also think about building your own brand? And it's not an easy thing. I have my own website. It cost me a lot of time to maintain. I got interviews and I gotta do the work, but is it really necessary, to create a self brand? And how do I determine should I or should I not invest in time in myself?
I would begin by saying that you need to think about whether you have the type of personality whether you want to be in the limelight or not. That's number one, because you need to be authentic.
Yep.
If you're trying to be somebody else, it's not going to be successful.
Yep.
Okay, so that's number one. And secondly, you also need to think about whether your visibility is necessary for the brand, and is it compatible with the brand. So for example, if your brand is a very kind of innovative and leading edge, has that kind of image and highly fashionable. But in fact
you're like me,
yourself,
which is totally old school and not fashionable, then better not represent your brand.
compatibility is very important, and you represent Newgig very well. So that's the second thing. It really boils down to the necessity and the authenticity aspect of it. Sometimes the product is the hero.
Yeah.
But sometimes the hero is the founder, like Steve Jobs.
Yes.
So it really depends on the situation. There is no right or wrong answer. We need to also analyze the merit of the product itself, and whether using the founder as the spokesperson versus having a KOL or some other influential party as the spokesperson will be more effective.
Great. So maybe, Colin, let me ask it in a different angle. Let's forget about product, right? If some of our audience, they're not selling any product, they are just purely saying that, going back to the question, I'm an individual, I will go and apply for jobs. I will go out and just have friends. Do I care, and should I, right now, build a brand? And I think Clara taught us about authenticity and match. So maybe I can build a brand as a geek, if I'm a geek. But the question I'm asking you is, when you see it, if I'm a regular, person just wanting to get a job, I want to get promoted, and want to, get on with life, should I spend some time, a period of time, think about my brand and how to do it? Yes or no? And if yes, how to do it?
The answer is yes. So from your question, I can already see a very key issue. So you need to have a purpose, and if your purpose is you want to look for a job that is your desired, so you have that goal, then you build yourself as a brand. So you're worth enough to get into that job or get that job. So how to do it? I think if you have that purpose, then you will know what kind of brand you should build yourself into, and then you can invest yourself into building a profile page on LinkedIn or other social media page, because that's the place that other people who doesn't know you but can look into your profile and learn more about you. And the benefit is a lot of such profiles can actually attract same-minded people. So this group of people can get to know each other and then interact, and then there will be more information exchange.
Do you guys, when you hire the younger ones right now, do you really go check their IG, check their Facebook, and see what they do before you decide hiring them or not?
Yes.
We do. Yeah, we do check it out. So actually, the moment that you started to post something on social media, that's the very first step on your personal brand. What sort of image you are projecting to others?
So I think this is a good point to the audience. Some doesn't matter what age you are. If you already haven't touched on it, you got to think about is everyday posting your cat something cool. It might be fun, but if you want to be seen as an animal lover, if one of your traits is, I care about the world and I have love, and my time is spent on animal, that's great, right? But if you are younger, in college, just be careful, because you randomly post stuff which is fun. At the end of the day, it becomes part of you. The digital footprint is there. So I think you need to think about what you do. I'm quite cautious also. My Facebook is mixed up, with everything, but on my LinkedIn is very clear on what I want to do, right? So I think that's very good point. I think most of us will be useful. There's one more question here is, how does COVID impact the way that the industry? How does COVID impact the way you do business? It's such a big question, I think we just probably a quick few points, and maybe Colin afterwards can talk a little bit about the event side, which you do a lot of events, the event side and the KOL side, you can talk about, but Clara will be on a higher level,
Okay, so I would say a lot of the event side, which Colin we cover, has gone virtual. So that is a big move in the industry. But overall, there is a need for clients to balance, or for organizations to balance their social responsibility with their business profitability and looking after their employees. So those are the three major drivers, I would say, in organizational decision making. So no longer would companies be valued just based on the profits that they are making, but planet as well as people. So those three P, we are seeing a great focus on that since 2020. And more organizations come to the realization that they cannot make profit at the expense of the people as well as their social responsibility. They will be boycotted by the consumer if they do so. So those are the dynamics happening in the market, and we are helping and advising our client on how they navigate.
So if a brand hasn't done much on that and now realize, is it part of the remit that they can come to you and say, we know we're a little bit late on this, but I want to be seen as sustainable. We wholeheartedly, we want to change and do something else, want to engage. Does it fall into something?
Yes.
Would that be a pitch?
Yeah,
a brief?
So actually, a lot of the work that we did last year was around corporate social responsibility and sustainability. The work that our client has done to support the community, to help relieve the situation, and how they support some of the underprivileged groups with supplies, etc. So those are social responsibility kind of campaign that we have developed last year. But another trend that we have noticed is more brands, more companies are very conscious about their employee engagement and them as an employer brand, and building preference for them as the preferred employer is one big focus of many of our clients.
So for the audience, if you are in sustainability and all these, you think, it's not even related to PR and influence, it might be wrong. So they have a lot of clients wanting to get there, and if you come in very specifically say, right, I'm big on this, but I'm also curious that, and I want to fool the work of, being in Ogilvy, I can influence and help multiple brands to do better. That's also possible.
Yeah.
Because that's the trend that's coming.
Yeah.
So Corinne, about that question, how COVID affect
Yep.
especially maybe on the event
Yeah,
side,
we
maybe
do.
on the KOL side, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so last year we did a lot of virtual events that we didn't handle back in many years ago. So a lot of our clients, their business is still running as usual, but then they need to find other ways to communicate to the consumers, to the public. So we held some virtual conference, which did the events totally different from previously. Like right now, we are doing this talk via cam, and people can listen just from home. And so as the way we contact the reporter, they don't need to have physical contact with us anymore.
Yep.
They just have to stay at their office. So a lot of the time they say, oh, I save a lot of time to travel around, and they can just sit in the office and then get first-hand information from us. So some of them think it is brings them convenience, but some of them also advise that they want more physical contact with us actually. So get more face-to-face conversation to know more about and to ask questions in a more easier way. So sometimes they feel there is distance, but then we are honest to that we have to be adaptive. We have to be agile to do things that in a different ways in order to achieve the goal because of a lot of constriction.
Great. So let me ask the last question. We can probably put up the poll. People can do the poll first. The last question would be for people that are not in your field, wanting to join. What will be your advice, for them?
I would say two things.
Mm.
Number one is try to get an internship, even if it is an adult intern, and just build from the foundation skills, understanding the foundation work, whether it be doing research and doing some analysis, trying to develop social media posts or do social listening, news monitoring, and analyze the news. Those are the foundation skills that is needed for a PR professional. And once you get these foundation skills, then you could think about how you strategize based on the information and the data that you collected and what insight you are able to draw from there.
Some people ask me, I'm stuck. I'm in like 10 years and, I want to apply. You will never hire me because I have no experience and it's chicken and egg. If no one give me the first experience, how can I have the experience? So I told them to think slightly differently. I say ask some social enterprise, ask some NGO, go to people like me that we are volunteers that does Newgig, we really not pay, but because these organizations are lacking resources, normally we will not let you touch our social media account. But at the end of the day, I have no choice because nobody's doing it. So you could get a chance to really try.
Yeah.
So would you think, if you see someone that have shown you, I have done part-time on the side, or even I quit my job and done 3 months no pay for an organization on this field, does it add points or not? Or you will say, come on, this is not professional, so I don't care.
No, actually it helps because it shows the passion and the determination of the individual to move into a certain field. Yeah, and we also welcome people who, like for example, we had lots of former journalists who wants to get into PR, and then they might want to intern with us for a period of time and try out whether PR is the right area for them, and we would welcome that kind of arrangement for them to experience, and not just experience, but they also have people who could coach them to enable them to develop the necessary skills.
I would love to ask for maybe Clara to, maybe Chloe and Clara to accept 1 or 2 position, for short-term, this engagement for our audience. Of course, they need to apply for it, and you need to think they're good enough. They need to show commitment. But I think we should think about this adult internship way in a new world way. Internship is not just for college students; it's for anyone, right?
Yeah.
So Corinne, your advice to people who want to get in,
So just don't be shy. Keep asking questions. Ask around different people around you or people in the PR industry. What is it like? What they do every day, and you hear a lot of different stories, and then you can think for yourself: is it really something that you want to be? You want to try? If yes, then you should think why you should try, or what's your personality that would contribute to this industry, or if it really suits yourself.
Excellent. So I would like to say a big thank you for both of you. spend almost an hour and 15 minutes with us sharing. We'll record this and we will hopefully that will be make your time used wisely so that more people can see it afterwards. And just for our audience, next week, next Tuesday, I'll be back here in this building with another leader in Ogilvy, Catherine. We'll talk about on the advertising and branding side, what are the opportunities and how life over there is. So it's next Tuesday on the 9th, I believe it's also 6 p.m. And we might have a slide to show Newgig. Talk about it. We are a volunteer organization. One tough part I learned really, in doing this is, no matter how good your product is, this is excellent product, right? This getting traffic is not easy. That I've learned there's no free traffic. There's only expensive or not so expensive traffic. So I urge the audience to help us sign up on Newgig in general. We will send you all the coming events. I can promise you our resources are excellent, like Clara, like Catherine coming up. They spend the time to help people to really understand the field to be better. But we need your help to spread the word so that more people can benefit from their time. So I would say thank you to everyone, and have a good evening. And I think I will see you next Tuesday here again at 6 p.m. So thank you very much and thank you again.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
Stephen,
Thank
and
you.
lovely meeting all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.